reignite your intuition to grow your intuitive self. Today I talk about I was just too euphoric on the clouds. Funny title again, I know, but hey guys, let's keep you somehow interested. My name is Angela and I'm a highly intuitive person by birth, what makes me the expert in supporting you regaining your intuition. As a psychic life coach, it is my passion to support people by becoming themselves. Trusting fully your intuition takes time and is a very individual process. I share with you my knowledge and hands-on strategies that I have developed to support you in your daily lifestyle. Take 30 minutes of your lifetime to schedule a free call with me on angelahack.com, work with me, and in this 30 minutes I support you already as much as I can to find your own way how to deal with everything you've decided to do on the clouds. People who follow me or know me a little longer know in the meanwhile that I have my own theory why I do have to experience such a lot in my life. And one part is, I'm pretty sure when I was up there in the clouds or wherever I am and I'm not in a body, I had too much Prosecco. Hopefully it was champagne and not Prosecco. And every challenge they offered me on one of these sheets, I just made a cross and was like, yay, I want to have it. Yay, I want to know what it feels like. Yay, I want to experience things. So, yeah, that's my theory. And by the way, when I went to the bar to get some new bottles, or a new bottle sounds a little bit hard, huh? They were giving away patience, and that's why I have a lack of patience if it's about me. If it's about others, I'm a very patient person most of the time, except for one or two people around me, but that's how it is. And yes, I really decided to experience a lot. And I remember not long time ago that I asked someone, oh, how old is your partner actually? And the person's reaction was mid-30s or something. And I said, well, that's something you don't see, huh? And the moment I said it, I was like, oh my gosh, could you just shut the hell up? And then the person said, well, we have no idea what this person went through. And then I was like, wait a second. I, at that age, looked like dying because I had such a bad time in my life and I really experienced crap. And then meanwhile, I look so much better because I started to reflect more. I started to work on me. I started to look at me. I started to learn. I started to embrace the learnings I have, as good as it gets. There is moments I can't. I mean, hello, I'm a human. I'm not a machine. And mainly I'd say I do it pretty well, but there is moments that all these, these crosses I made, what I want to experience, they're just coming up and up and up again. And the point is, even when you realize that you made this experience due to whatever, there is some things that trigger you longer and harder than others. For example, there is one thing that I have a really, really hard time to understand: how you cannot help someone you love. Even when this person, pissed you off, you're still kind of here for them. I totally understand that some children have a problem with their parents. I totally get that. I think if you reflect things, if you look at things, there is always a good chance to at least become kind of a peaceful way to get along with each other. But as a couple, when you get married due to, some people call it love, in certain moments I'm pretty sure there is no love, and then you do not support your partner. This is something I have zero, but I must admit really zero understanding, especially when the surrounding of the other person is supporting both of you because you are a lazy, egoistic butt. And as you can imagine, I have this in my field, and it's really, really tough training for me to accept. It's one of the things I still deal with, because what I try to do is to kick that person out of my field, because why should I spend time with someone who is toxic? On the other hand, the other person I love dearly. So what do? If I love this person dearly and I want to kick out the other person of my life, do I hurt the person that I love dearly? Yes, I do. Do I want to hurt this person? No, I don't. So what do I do now? Do I hurt myself? Do I hurt that person? Do I find a middle way? Yes, that's exactly what it's all about. Every cross I made up on the clouds to make it, to have some experiences, to learn, to grow, whatever the point is, has to do with the fact that I have to learn to become a healthy egoist, and it's my training. And I have to learn to properly make unpopular decisions, and someone might not like me that much for them, but hey, I still can look in the mirror every morning I get up and every evening I go to bed. And that's very important, that I can go and look straight in the mirror and be honest to myself. And I think this, even when it sounds very funny, this whoa, I was too euphoric on the clouds, the point is, do I really take those things in? Do I really learn from them? I know people out here that will have a hard time to die. And yes, it's really hurting to say they have a hard time to die, but if you don't look at your own life, you will look at it latest when you start to leave this earth, or at least this body. So why don't we all change our view a little bit, and instead of being like, oh my goodness, and why don't we look at this experience in a body that, like, we are either in a kindergarten or at university. Sometimes, or some days, it's easier. And for me, kindergarten was a very pleasant time because we were allowed to play and to listen to stories. And back then, you were not supposed to learn to read and write, and you had to become a world wonder. Because some people knew it, that you are a world wonder, and some people will never know it anyway, so it doesn't matter. And I really start to have the easy days. I look like it's not a kindergarten in a negative way. It's like having a good time, playing around, and then or let's call it a playground instead of a kindergarten, might be the better word. So it's either a playground or a university. Sometimes it's a bit more university, but that's how it is. And there are several ways you can look at things. You can lose it and freak out and be like, oh my goodness, everything's so bad, blah, 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 blah. Or you can just be like, hey, look at this. I sat on the clouds. And yes, I had too much, let's call it champagne. I really do prefer champagne. And I'd made a cross, and I wanted to experience what it feels like to be, to be cheated on for months and lied to for a long time. And I wanted to know what it feels like if you get diagnosed by a really bad illness just because, without any back hold on. And I'm very well aware of the things that I say, that a lot of you guys experience that too. And honestly, I have no clue why we want to experience those things, but we will experience them as long as we are not yet there where we're supposed to be. That we haven't learned what we're supposed to learn. And I'm still at the point where I'm saying, hey, it's not all to be solved by your soul, but we're body, mind, and soul. So it has to be solved by a combination of the three of them. Everything. Honestly, everything. If it's an illness body-wise, if it's an illness psychic, in psychology-wise, if it's anything, we have to look at the big things and not at the small things in our lives. And then the small things don't even become that big anymore, that we have to look at big things. So the point is really, look out, decide if it's a university, decide if it's a playground, decide from every second to another, because it can be a playground, it can be a university, within a second that can switch. But be aware of what you decided, because you decided to make these experiences. Be aware of some emotions, if they're totally 100% all yours, or if you have the feeling that they're coming from someone else, that you took them over, because that's something that we used to do, that we take over emotions from others and we have no clue that we do so, and we have no clue how to give them back, by the way. And there is coaches out there who can support you with that. And the point is, just be aware that you decide for your life. And yes, I know, if you listen now to me and your life is just going down and you just, whatever, you lost your partner, because of whatever stupid reason, and you're alone and you feel absolutely terrible, and you hear my podcast, you might think I'm a stupid bitch, and you're totally free to think though, because in that moment you don't want to hear those things. Totally no way. But you might listen to the podcast a little later and realize, yes, everything's done, everything's down and bad and shit, but hey, I am the creator of my own life. And it sounds easier than it is, I know. Because when I sat on the clouds, I decided to give myself shit in my life, and I'm not yet 40. So I'm not down here from, in my mom's tummy I was already. So I'm nearly experiencing this world for 40 years. And I know that there can be things that are absolutely gross. But you are the creator of your life, and you decide how to live your life. And nobody, absolutely nobody, has the right to tell you something else. It's your life. And when I was euphoric on the clouds and making crosses, I might have underestimated what I'm gonna face. But I felt that I'm able to face it and I'm able to grow. So is every one of us. Are you ready for being you? Yes? Then go to angelack.com, book a 30-minute call. You'll find the link below the podcast, or on angelack.com, work with me. Thank you very much for listening to Reignite Your Intuition.